woman that we are going to talk about is Louise Bristow. She is Vice President, Communications and Marketing at Archer. When we imagine a futuristic world, we often see flying cars and hovercrafts. Well, it turns out that the future is upon us. And companies like Archer are leading the way. Founded in 2018, Archer is a Californian-based company that designs electrical vertical takeoff and landing aircrafts. Unfortunately, Louise can't be with us today, live in Berlin. But we didn't want to keep her inspiring story away from you, being a woman in the aviation industry. So Louise recorded her talk and is telling us now more on future flight, creative women in the new frontier of aviation. Enjoy the presentation.
Hi, I'm Louise Bristow, and I'm the Vice President of Marketing and Communications at Archer, a California-based company building electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, or eVTOLs, for use in urban air mobility, aerial ride-sharing, to put it more simply. Our battery-powered, all-electric aircraft will move people throughout congested cities in a quick, safe, sustainable, and cost-effective way. When we come to market, you'll experience a world where you can travel from, say, San Francisco to San Jose in 17 minutes rather than up to 2 hours in a car, or from Manhattan to JFK in just 7 minutes, a torturous journey that can take over 90 minutes in congested New York traffic. What we're really focused on is working to solve the constraints of current road networks and create transportation systems that will ultimately reduce the emissions. We hope, too, that we'll be able to transform the daily lives of millions of commuters by giving them back time, whilst also working towards curbing emissions and decreasing traffic. My team and I are responsible for building Archer's brand from the ground up. And today I want to share with you some insights based on my experience of tackling the task of launching a new product, a new service, and a new category. Today, more than at any moment in history, delivering memorable, effective, meaningful marketing is a steep hill to climb. Consumer channels are weighed down by the 24/7 news cycle, and at times it can seem impossible to break through. Channels are expanding and diversifying, so much so that the way into an audience's consciousness isn't direct anymore. In any given sector, competition is fierce. But these obstacles intensify when you add another element into the mix, marketing an industry that does not yet exist. There's no roadmap of how to launch an aerial ride-sharing service, so everything we do is a chance to think in a very unconstrained way when it comes to how to inspire and excite our future customers, as well as lay the educational foundation so that people trust in our brand and our industry as a whole. eVTOLs have always been associated with futuristic tropes, like the flying cars of the Jetsons and too many science fiction movies to mention. But while this image resonated with consumers, it did a long-term disservice to the credibly emerging eVTOL industry and marketers like myself within that industry. That's because, in addition to introducing new technology, we also realized that we would have to combat the idea that flying cars were coming to personal suburban garages. And at the same time, we were faced with the added task of easing consumer fears around safety, noise pollution, and accessibility. To launch Archer's brand, we were faced with the ultimate challenge, creating a category from scratch and reconfiguring consumers' expectations. But that challenge was not insurmountable, and my team and I saw it as a great opportunity. The concept of clean sheet marketing is often talked about, but the reality is that it's rarely more than industry speak designed to push the creative boundaries around existing concepts. For Archer, however, the opportunity was real. Before we plunged into messaging and our brand look and feel, we looked at the broader landscape. It was important for us to understand the images that consumers had already been presented with and the shortcomings of those pictures. Not just in our own emerging sector, but indeed the broader airline sector, and beyond that into the world of new electric vehicles and other innovative forms of transportation. Defining and understanding the white space to differentiate our brand and our product from the outset was critical. In our earliest days, we took the time to study our aerial companions, both real and imaginary. We saw imagery featuring sleek vehicles soaring across ominous backgrounds and futuristic cityscapes with faceless characters. They conjured up a vision of a dystopian future that felt far off and very difficult for consumers to connect with. And as a result, this new mode of transportation that many like Archer were promising to launch in the 2020s seemed like a futuristic dream. To build public acceptance, we knew it was vitally important to depict how eVTOL would be woven into the fabric of everyday lives. So to do that, we steered away from overtly futuristic imagery, instead showcasing our aircraft in cities and nature, a seamless part of today's consumer experience. We opted for this approach because we knew that as a young company entering a widely questioned industry, we had to make eVTOL feel real and accessible. And now, a few years into our journey, we know that this messaging and imagery resonated with our audiences. And we're seeing eVTOL meeting with broader public acceptance and understanding. There's still a long way to go, but we've made a strong start. One of the most important things to note here is that we've never looked at the company or the eVTOL industry with a startup mentality. Yes, we move fast. Yes, we are innovative. But we have a plan to build the foundation of a brand that we hope will become a globally recognized company. Now, that's certainly a lofty goal. To do this, we've worked to break down our timeline towards commercial launch into digestible milestones over the coming months and years. This allows us to make our goals ambitious but still achievable. So what does that mean in terms of steps? Well, firstly, we defined our brand. It was important for us to create our own category and brand voice that was set apart from the broader eVTOL industry. Then we set about growing our channels. For us, it was, and always will be, important to build a foundation of an authentic audience, not just a big audience. We're looking for people that share our pioneering spirit to join our tribe of change makers. Engagement is key, and to drive that, content must be thoughtful, well-produced, and relevant. Now we're in the phase of expanding our community, where educational content plays a huge role. And finally, we need to close the educational gap around eVTOLs as a form of transportation and a travel service. After that, well, we hope to change the world. Granted, this goal might be considered very ambitious. And while we're not there yet, we do believe that eVTOL transportation can change the way we move around the biggest cities and eventually the world. This moonshot goal will always be our North Star, and it drives not only our marketing and communication strategies, but everything we do at Archer. Before I close, I wanted to touch on how women can really make an impact on the traditionally male-dominated aviation industry. Positively, with a shift in views on transportation, the good news is that we're also seeing a shift in the balance of talent. At Archer, I work with a hugely talented team, many of whom are women, and I anticipate that we'll see strong females in more areas of aviation going forward, from engineers to pilots and beyond. I'm very lucky to work with a team who've been brought in because of their talent and skills, not because of their gender. But that's not always the case, as many of us know from experience. My own advice to any women looking to carve a career in mobility and sustainable aviation is to build a solid foundation first. This applies universally, regardless of gender or background. Learn and perfect your craft. Be interested in the world beyond your company, and learn about trends which can affect your business and your customers so that you can appreciate the entirety of the ecosystem that you're operating in. Then, once you have that foundation, own your voice and be the expert that you've been hired to be. That's how I approach my job every day, and I love every minute of the challenge. Britta, thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this event. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person, but I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to everybody today.